Welcome back, football fans. You join me as I am just doing my research for the Premier League games this weekend. And of course, I've come across Manchester United at home to Manchester City. Huge, huge game. But one thing that caught my eye is the odds. We can see in our brand new odds comparison tool here that Manchester City are just under evens. That is the best price currently. Odds could drift, of course, as the game approaches. Just under 24 hours as I record this to the game kicking off on Saturday. Under evens to win a game of football against a Manchester United team that are in no kind of form. Yes, Michael Carrick will be in the dugout for the first time, but how much time has he really had in comparison to a City team that are confident and they are purring and scoring plenty of goals in recent weeks, including 10 against Exeter City. Semenyo has come in and looks the real deal straight away. So just under evens, as I say, that is a great foundation, and it probably will make up the foundation of my bet builder that we put together in this video. But for now, let's just run through Saturday's game, shall we? Manchester United against Manchester City. My early prediction is that Man City are too hot to handle. I think the problems at Manchester United will continue. I don't think they went away under Darren Fletcher in those couple of games. Chelsea-Brentford, this has got the potential to be a great game because Brentford are absolutely flying at the moment. They're scoring goals, they're keeping clean sheets. But Chelsea under Rosignol, this is a game that he will have earmarked as his first home victory, no doubt about that. Sunderland Crystal Palace has 0-0 written all over it, or certainly a low-scoring game there. Liverpool Burnley, it's a must-win for Arne Slot, isn't it? Burnley will hope to go there and frustrate Liverpool, as plenty of teams have this season. Leeds Fulham, Leeds you would expect to continue their decent goal-scoring form. A home victory isn't unlikely in that game, I don't think. Fulham also playing well, of course, at the moment, and they do score in the majority of games. So I think my money would be on Leeds or draw in that one. Tottenham against West Ham is another derby on Saturday, and then Nottingham Forest against Arsenal. People are calling for Sean Dyche to get the sack already, saying he's the wrong appointment. They need a performance in that game. Sean Dyche needs a performance in that game. And for Arsenal, I know we're only in January, but every game feels massive with Manchester City breathing down their neck. And a big day, of course, for Manchester City. And we will jump back to that game now by first taking a look at some player data. So if you're new to this tool, it is the player props tool. We're just going to start to type in Manchester City, and we can see that actually Man City have got another away game after this one against Bodo Glimt. We are going to look at the player data. Haaland's going to be at the top of most of these charts for goals. Antoine Semenyo is also there. Last 20 games, goals, 0.5 per game, playing for Bournemouth. Absolutely fantastic. Foden, also worth a shout. Should he start? This is the problem, isn't it? This is the thing with Pep Guardiola. It looks like he loves Semenyo. It wouldn't surprise me if he's benched for this game because he's not played in a Manchester derby before, etc., etc. We're going to look at shots on target, and if you've not used this tool in a while, as you can see as I scroll down here, there are so many new data points and metrics that have been added. Dribbles, duels won. We are looking, actually, let's look at fouls drawn per 90 for a moment, because this is a very good market that has been added recently on Bet365. So Patrick Dorgu, who you would expect to start, 2.65 fouls won per game. That is an interesting market on Bet365 that we can certainly take a look at. Maybe for him to commit a foul and to be fouled as well. That was a nice market that we had on a previous video with Casemiro, who I don't know if he is back, but if he is, for him to be fouled, usually the odds are quite good there. We are going to keep scrolling and keep looking and seeing what stats we can find, because the one I'm looking for here is shots on target. Let's take a look at shots on target per 90, and then we will look at the occurrences. So Benjamin Sesko, in his last 10 appearances, 2.01, he is averaging more shots on target per 90. Of course, he's been a substitute more than Haaland, who is 1.6, Semenyo 1.54, Marmoush, who is reportedly looking for a loan move away from Manchester City. Of course, now that Semenyo's there, his place, he only goes further down the pecking order, really. It's a strange signing. They had an injury crisis, didn't they? And they bought Marmoush, and he just hasn't worked out, really, but he's clearly a quality player. Savinho, another one, who potentially could be on the way out now that Semenyo has signed. There's no way that they can fit all these players in. Reinders, always a very good pick for a shot. Not necessarily on target, but a shot. So let's see how we do with this one. Now we're going to look at the occurrences. Shot on target, occurrence, 0.5%. So how many times did they have at least one shot on target in the last 10 appearances? Semenyo is top of the pile. So for me at the minute, I'm thinking Semenyo, I'm thinking Dorgu for fouls, Casemiro for fouls if he is fit. Bernardo Silva is good for fouls as well. We need to wait and see the teams. I don't have the luxury of the lineups whilst recording this. Now let's take a look at the team data. We're going to look at the fixture first, and then we're going to also look at the football form guide. Then after that, we're going to take a look at the games again, and I'm going to give score predictions for every single game. So I hope you're following along. Let's take a look at the fixture. So something that is actually quite interesting when you look at this, it's interesting, it's still disappointing for Manchester United fans. Their home form is better than City's away form, but that doesn't mean much because Man United's home form is not great. 1.8 points per game is not good enough for Manchester United, and I think Man City will probably think the same about their away form, 1.7 points per game. If we look at the goals, they have both scored 18 goals. They failed to score in 2 of those 10 games. There hasn't been a 0-0 at Old Trafford this season in the Premier League. I can't see this one ending 0-0 either because there's going to be a bit of pressure on Michael Carrick to play the United way. I mean, we hear that a lot, don't we? And if he sets up with a very defensive system in this game at home to Man City of all teams, that certainly is not the United way. Fergie would not have set that way up when he was facing any of his rivals. You go to attack, you try and win the game. Both teams have scored in 80% of games, average goals 3.1 per game. As I say, I think there will be goals in this game. Let's take a look at the form. So just 3 victories for Manchester United since the end of October. That is absolutely not good enough. Quite a few draws in here, but look at the last 3 draws that they've had. Burnley, Leeds and Wolves. They've got 3 points there. They should have got 9. How much better would they be in the table if they'd have beaten West Ham, Bournemouth, Wolves, Leeds, Burnley? That's 15 points they could have added and probably should have had on the table. Where would they be? I mean, go and look at the table. They would probably be pushing for 3rd, 2nd place. And then we can look at Manchester City, and we can see that they are scoring quite a few goals. They had that spell of 3 draws in a row, but they came out of that with a fantastic 10-1 victory. Exeter, Semenyo's debut, smashing player, and he has hit the ground running for sure. Newcastle United, that was a professional job. Very good performance from Man City, that. Away from home, they have lost twice this season, both in the Premier League, Aston Villa and Newcastle United. Let's have a look at the probability model. The model is suggesting an away win, 48%, and as we've already looked, the odds just under evens, absolutely superb, really. I'm going to go ahead now and put together a bet builder. Let's just take a look at the both teams to score market, 1.5. I don't think I would be backing that, but you never know. We will just take a look as well at the cards just to have a look, and we can see that Man United's opponents are being booked an awful lot. As we saw, Dorgu is getting fouled an awful lot. 3 cards per game on average for Manchester United's opponents at Old Trafford this season. And you see, Man City's there, just 1.3. And I think, I've not looked at the odds yet, but the bookmakers may be thinking the reverse of that. So there may be some value on Manchester City cards if United can start well. There's no reason Man United can't play well in pockets of this game, but still lose by 2 goals or so, because at the start of the game, the fans are going to want a performance. They're going to be right up for it with Michael Carrick in the dugout. So let's jump to Bet365 and see if we can find any value on this game. So here is the selection that I'm going with. I'm just going to show you in a minute a few things that you could potentially add to it, but I'm quite happy with 4.5. Semenyo shot on target. He's on fire at the moment. Will he start? That is, of course, a big question. You could maybe substitute him for Foden. Reinders for a shot, not necessarily on target, is another great option as well, I feel. Man City to win. I can't look past it. Yes, Carrick and co might have a bit of a manager bounce. But I can't look past Manchester City, who are already in sync with everything. Manchester United starting from zero again here. Over one card for Manchester City, we saw Manchester United's opponents have picked up 3 cards per game. Now, we looked at the player props tool, and I just wanted to show you that where some of these averages come from. So we're going to take a look at player shots on target. And I just wanted to show you Manchester United's Benjamin Sesko here. 7 shots on target against Brighton. I think he scored, didn't he? He scored once from 7 shots on target. That's not great as a centre forward. If Haaland was to have 7 shots on target in a single game, how many goals do you think he would score? So when you're looking at the averages, always then look at the occurrence data to back up what it is that you're looking at. Because if a player has, let's say, 7 shots on target against a non-league opposition and it puts him top of the charts for the averages, you should dig deeper into the data to see that the average isn't everything. So one other thing that you can add to this to get it to 5s is both teams to get a card. Second half cards is also likely, given that Anthony Taylor likes to keep his cards in his pocket in the first half. Of course, this is a derby, so if there are some rash challenges, you might want to calm the game down with a card early doors. So I am actually leaving that one off for this derby. So once more, 4.5, Semenyo shot on target, Man City to win, over 1 card for Man City. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. Now we end with predictions for every game in the Premier League on Saturday. Get yours in the comments for your chance to win OddAlerts Pro, of course. Manchester United against Manchester City. I'm going to go with a 3-0 victory for Manchester City. Could be 3-1, could be 3-0. Who cares? Man United will still lose the game. Chelsea against Brentford, 8th against 5th. What a job Brentford are doing. And Keith Andrews, absolutely superb, but I think they will lose this game. Chelsea to win this game. I'm going to go 2 or 3-1 to Chelsea. I'm going to go 2-1. Sunderland Crystal Palace, 1-0 Sunderland. 1-0 Sunderland. Very narrow victory for Sunderland. Always quite tight, their games, especially up there. So 1-0 to Sunderland. Liverpool 3, Burnley 0. Routine victory. Liverpool back in some sort of form and groove. Leeds to get a win as well at home. I fancy them to get a win. Leeds, I'm going to go with a 1-0. Quite low scoring weekend here in the Premier League. 1-0 win for Leeds. Tottenham against West Ham, 2 teams that need a win, that is for sure. I'm going to go with a 3-2 Tottenham win. Bit of chaos in this game. West Ham, good on the break, which is how they might play it. Or say good on the break. Nuno was very good on the break at Forest, and I'm sure he's trying to bring that to West Ham. Hasn't yet. 3-2 Tottenham. And Nottingham Forest Arsenal. I want Dyche to do well at Forest, but I can only see a 1-0 Arsenal away win, and the goal comes from a corner. So they are my predictions. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been good to be back making videos. If you've enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and comment your predictions, and I will see you in the next one.